Okay, it's clearly obvious that every single issue on this planet, it doesn't matter what it is, circles back to race. And the talking point is always black people are oppressed and someone's always doing something to us. We're always victims. White people are bad. It's the same song and dance every single time. And I don't know how people haven't gotten tired of it, but that's probably a result of this narrative just being forced into everyone's face all the time. Literally all the time. 24/7. The world is telling black people that they're oppressed, and a lot of people eat it up, and then they take that and then they use it as their way of life. They move through life as if they're oppressed, and as if every other black person, if something unfavorable happens to them, or if a situation happens with a white person and a black person and they turn out differently, it has to be racism. And this situation is no different. So Josh Giddey, no relation, of the OKC Thunder, basketball player, he's in the NBA. He has been under fire for allegedly having a relationship with a minor. Now, I say allegedly because at least how things operate in this country is that you're innocent until proven guilty. Regardless of how you feel about anybody, that's how we operate. That's just how it is. So that's what I stick by. And as of now, it's being investigated. But because he's white, everyone has already jumped to he's guilty, right? And it is kind of working in the reverse, where now he's guilty and essentially has to prove that he's innocent, because at least by the standards of the court of public opinion, he's been slandered and there's no return, regardless of the outcome of this investigation. And what seems to be a lot of people's gripe with this is that he can still play in the NBA despite the fact that he's under investigation right now. And I get it, right? I get it. You know, at a quick glance, it looks bad, but people aren't just leaving it at that. What they're doing is that they're taking situations that involved a black person, they're comparing it to this white man, and then they're saying, wow, that's racist, and everybody hates black people. Now, once again, this situation is under investigation, and everything that has been brought forth is alleged behavior, right? You can't just go based off of Twitter investigators, because that's not like official, right? But that's where he's been slandered. It's on Twitter, and everyone has just ran with it, essentially. Now, before I go any further, if he was having relations with a minor, then yes, you prosecute it, right? That's fine. If it turns out that he wasn't, right? If it turns out that maybe he was just talking to someone who was younger than him, we can all think that it's weird, but technically it's not a crime, and that's not defending him necessarily. That's just stating what is, right? But that's where the issue lies, is everything is up in the air because we don't know anything. But that hasn't stopped people from not only slandering this man, but essentially saying that the NBA, the media, etc., are a bunch of racists because they're allowing him to play, but the conduct has been different when it comes to a black person. And it's everywhere. Has Josh Giddey gotten a pass from the media because he's white? Why wasn't Ja Morant allowed to just say no comment and stay around the Grizzlies team? Y'all remember when Ja tried to remain active and play with the team when he was under league investigation? No, me either. It's just no way this happens if he was my skin tone, i.e. black. And I hate to even bring race into it. No, you don't. But facts are facts. They even brought the Kyrie incident into this. This Josh Giddey situation is hilarious. They shamed Kyrie for weeks for posting an Amazon movie link. Stephen A. himself publicly shamed him and called him all these names. But he's not rushing to judge Josh Giddey. LMAO, okay. Josh Giddey sleeping with minors, check. Kyrie posting a link to a documentary, X. Ja Morant flexing his Second Amendment right, X. Come in just a little bit. A little bit more. Right there. Observe. Ja Morant, African-American guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, has been suspended for 25 games for flexing with guns. Ja Morant was given multiple chances to stop. He did it, and they told him to stop. And then he kept doing it because Ja Morant, despite making millions and millions of dollars, clearly wants to be a thug, because Ja Morant is not at a shooting range flexing the guns or messing with the guns or shooting the guns in a controlled manner. Ja Morant is not a firearm instructor, so he's not teaching someone how to use guns. No, Ja Morant is modeling a lot of the people who have raised us, right? We want to talk about people who look like us. Ja Morant is modeling these people. You want to know where half of these people are? They're in the ground, because the thing that they're playing with got them there, because we all think it's cool until you end up dead.
A mother in disbelief tonight, mourning the loss of her teenage son. He accidentally shot and killed himself live on Instagram.
Now, Ja Morant is a millionaire, multimillionaire, and he's representing a business, not just the NBA, but the Memphis Grizzlies. Yeah, the NBA, they have the final say, but the Memphis Grizzlies can call the shots whenever they want to. And the Memphis Grizzlies are different from any other team. So what happens on Team A is completely unrelated to what happens on Team B, because they're two different entities. Grizzlies are different than the Thunder. So this team gave this man multiple chances to, not flex his Second Amendment right, but to stop trying to be a thug, because you not only represent a business, but you are an ambassador to children. And it wasn't like he was allegedly doing it. No, there were videos and proof that he was doing it. And then went on the spiel about, I'm going to get help. They gave him an interview, like some cinematic interview, as if he was some victim of something. Comes back and still decides he wants to act like a thug. I don't know how many more chances you can give somebody, but you want to know why they're giving him those chances? It's because he's black. Moving on. Kyrie Irving posted a link to a movie on his Instagram that apparently offended members of the Jewish community. Now, myself and probably a bunch of other people didn't think that Kyrie did anything wrong, but at least what I've noticed is that if you talk about a certain group in any way that isn't exclusively filled with admiration, well, then you're probably screwed. And that doesn't mean you have to talk about them in a derogatory way. It just means that if it isn't 100% admiration, you are screwed. And I talked about the Kyrie situation before, but when it happened, at least the normal response to that is to throw the book at the person who did whatever that certain community feels is offensive. But they didn't do that. The NBA didn't do that. The Brooklyn Nets, the team he was playing for at the time, didn't do that. They sat on it because they thought, well, if no one says anything about it, maybe it's not that big a deal. We'll let the dust settle and we'll move on. No, that didn't happen, because the media, the sports media, the black sports media went after this man. They dogged this man, called him all these different kinds of names, anti-Semitic, every name under the sun you could think of, they called him that. Now, do you think that they care about that? No, of course they don't care about that, right? But the people who they work for, they have stories to cover, they got ratings to keep up, they got agendas to push. So you got to do what makes them happy, because at the end of the day, you got to get paid, and you got to do what's necessary to get paid. They went after that man, so then everybody else, the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets, so everyone's pissed, so now we have to do something about it. So they went in, and they threw the book at him, fined him hundreds of thousands of dollars, suspended him, made him do sensitivity training, made him apologize, all of these things. But guess where Kyrie Irving is right now? Kyrie Irving is on a basketball court, and you want to know why he's on a basketball court? Is because he's black. And I know so far these are real simplistic explanations, but it'll all make sense very, very shortly. Moving on. Anthony Edwards, my favorite player, guard, African-American for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Last year, he recorded a video of a bunch of gay dudes on a sidewalk acting gay or doing gay stuff and posted it on Instagram. Called them a certain word that you're not allowed to say, a word that has gotten probably many people canceled unless you're like in the world of comedy and it's no holds barred. But he said that word and he got fined $40,000 and gave an apology. Guess where Anthony Edwards was the very next week and is still currently right now at this very moment on a basketball court playing basketball. Moving on. Montrezl Harrell in the playoffs during the 2020 season when COVID was happening and the world was shut down, the NBA, they housed their playoffs in a bubble. That way no one got COVID and the game can continue. Montrezl Harrell was on the Los Angeles Clippers and they were playing against the Dallas Mavericks. The best player on the Mavericks at the time was Luka Doncic, a white man. Montrezl Harrell, Luka got into it. They're going back and forth. The game's getting real choppy. And Montrezl Harrell calls this man a white boy. Now, that's not the worst thing in the world to call somebody, right? I mean, it's not nice, but it is what it is. Had the roles been reversed, you honestly think that Luka calling Montrezl Harrell a black boy would have went over well with the NBA? Would have went over well with the Dallas Mavericks? Not at all. What happened to Montrezl Harrell? Montrezl Harrell had nothing happen to him. All that happened was that he went up to Luka and apologized before the next game, and the camera caught it, and that was it. No fine, no sensitivity training, no suspension, no removal from the league, didn't get dropped by the team, nothing. And I'm not saying these things should have happened. I'm just saying that that's what happened, right? Karl Malone is an NBA Hall of Famer, and I want to say maybe 7-8 months ago was a slam dunk contest judge for the NBA. You want to know what Karl Malone did? If you didn't know, right? When Karl Malone was a grown man, he got a 13-year-old pregnant. This man is an NBA Hall of Famer, and to this day is still a member of the NBA in some capacity. Oh, Karl Malone's black, by the way. Last but not least, Meyers Leonard. I would like to sit up here and say that Meyers Leonard says something messed up. Got a slap on the wrist, got a fine, everything's all good. Nope. Meyers Leonard live streaming a Call of Duty game. Got shot in the game, died, and he said a derogatory word toward the Jewish community, right? Now, it's inexcusable, it's messed up, but if you played a game before, you can understand what the situation was, right? I feel like we've all said something that was pretty messed up while playing a game when something unfavorable happens. And if you say you didn't, I call bull on that. Now, he didn't get the treatment that these other guys got where he got chance after chance or a slap on the wrist or whatever. No. Meyers Leonard was fined $50,000. He was forced to do sensitivity training. He was forced to apologize. He was banned from the team facility. Then the time period that this man was banned, he was shipped to another team and dropped immediately.
Damn! I'm sorry.
And up until recently, hadn't played basketball in the NBA for like 2 years. And I haven't even seen him. I saw him like for one stint recently, and then I haven't seen him since. Right? And please don't talk to me about, is he good enough to play in the NBA? Because I just watched PJ Tucker, who's a black man, for the past 10 games, drop 0 points in each of those games. This man's getting paid $11 million to dress nice and go do cardio for 2.5 hours. So we don't even need to have that conversation. But when you look up Meyers Leonard, take a look at his skin color, white as snow. So when I look at stuff like this, I can't do anything but laugh because of how ridiculous it is. And this is how you allow race to take over your life. This man, Josh Giddey, is under investigation. Now, if it's proven that he was having relations with a minor, then yeah, you prosecute him. If you want to talk about him on your ESPN shows or you want to tweet about him, go for it. But let's say you do that prematurely and you do it out of spite. You do it because, well, they did it to the black man, so we got to do it to the white man to make it even. And let's say that you are proven wrong. Let's say that when the facts come out and Josh Giddey is found of no wrongdoing, now you sit there and you've lost all credibility, especially if you're a reporter, because you've commented on something prematurely, you've jumped the gun in an effort to even the score because all you see is through a lens of race. That's it. What Ja Morant did was proven. There was no need for a thorough investigation. He recorded himself or was recorded toting guns like a thug, and they gave this man multiple chances, and he squandered each of them. That's not a race thing. That's a you messed up, we told you to stop. Then you messed up again, we told you to stop again. Then you messed up again. The same mess up in a real quick time period. And at this point, we're not going to keep dealing with it. Kyrie Irving, at least in my opinion, didn't necessarily mess up. But look at what Meyers Leonard did, right? They both did things that members of a certain community deemed offensive. And I'm not trying to necessarily compare them like they're the same thing. But Kyrie Irving got dragged because a certain community was offended. Yet he's still playing basketball. Anthony Edwards, like I said, love him as a player, but objectively offended a community, still playing basketball. The majority of the league is black. The faces of the league are black. The league worships black people. So their last resort when it comes to a black person is to punish them and have them removed from the league, especially if they're one of the top guys. And you don't even have to be a top guy, right? But there's just more of an incentive to keep you around. Let me not forget Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges is currently on an NBA floor right now. Beat the crap out of his woman. I mean, so I can keep going all day. And Miles Bridges is black. Miles Bridges is my color, might be a little bit darker. So this whole idea about everybody's racist toward black people, just black people this, and that, is like, open your eyes. Right? The league glorifies black people. 3 years ago, they had shirts. Everybody's wearing shirts. Black Lives Matter. I mean, they want it in neon to show you how much they love black people. But this is where these race narratives get you. You're willing to forego any credibility in an effort to slander this man because he's white, just so that you can get it on the same playing field. Oh, they did it to Ja Morant, so we got to do it to Josh Giddey. No. They're completely different situations. 2 different situations. They did it to Kyrie, so we got to do it to Josh Giddey. 2 different situations. So please, when you're looking at things like this, and I've said it before, take a pause. And I know it's exceptionally hard for black people at times to do so, because if a racial element is thrown in there, we are susceptible to being emotionally charged when that topic is brought up. And I understand why. I get it. But I also get that that's a trap, right? You'll be miserable for the rest of your life thinking that the entire world is after you because you're black, or that certain people are getting special treatment because they're a different skin color. That's going to happen, period, right? But it happens to black people too, i.e. the fact that all these people who I just named are still playing basketball and getting paid millions of dollars to do so, despite the fact that they've messed up in a way that would have seen a white person be thrown out this league faster than they can say sorry. Because trust and believe, if it's proven that Josh Giddey had sexual relations with a minor, he's gone. And it's not even going to be a question about it. So please take a pause, because situations like these, they're becoming so common, and it's extremely disheartening because people don't care about what's real anymore. They only care about narratives. If the narrative is thrown out there that there's some racial component to it, well, bump any facts that are brought to the forefront, or bump any investigation that needs to take place. No, throw the book at him because he's a white man. How does that make you any different than the people that you claim to despise, right? Because there's no other explanation for wanting to prematurely prosecute this man to the fullest extent of the law and any scrutiny that the media would give him, other than the fact that he's white, in conjunction with the fact that you believe it happens to black people all the time, and it's just unfair. There's no difference. So pause, please. When the info comes out, then yeah, everybody can express how they feel about it, and then at that point, it is what it is, because what's true has been brought to light. But right now, we don't know shit. And the irony is that a bunch of black people would be so willing to pressure black journalists into foregoing their credibility in an effort to scrutinize this white man prematurely, just because they're getting emotional about it. Then when these black journalists get fired, or they start getting paid even less money than what most believe that they should be making, we're going to look around and be like, oh my goodness, ESPN is so racist. Fox Sports is so racist. How can you be racist, right, in that situation? I think it's, you just can't rely on these journalists because they're not credible, because they jumped the gun, because they allow their emotions to take over their better judgment. Then we got a whole new argument. So calm down, please. Let the situation unfold and then go from there. If he's found guilty, go for it, right? I know people are biting at it, waiting to see. I mean, most aren't even waiting, but if he is found guilty, they're going ham like it's no tomorrow. But let's say he's not, right? You'll be glad that you took 2 seconds to see what was going on before jumping to conclusions about this situation, simply because you are driven by the made up racial component that's been thrown in there like clockwork to control an entire race of people, that being us. So I think everybody should just slow down, right? Take a pause and let the investigation play out. We don't know anything. All the information that we have gotten is from Twitter. That doesn't count. Everything is speculation. Stuff's alleged behavior. So until it concludes, chill out, please. Not everything is racist. So Everyone should just slow down. I understand the frustration and the optics of a situation like this for black people. I get it. But slow down, because we don't know what's going on. All the information that we've gotten is from the Twitter detectives. I understand the court of public opinion matters to a degree, but in situations like this, it works as if it does in every situation before it. Is that racial element is thrown in there and people just lose their minds. All logic is thrown out the window and just people are pissed. So just slow down and let the investigation ensue. Let the situation work itself out. And then when we have the conclusion, then go from there. Right? Then it's fair game. Talk about them in whatever way you want to. But for now, chill.